Well, it's a nice sunny day, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a complete tune-up on the car. She hasn't had a tune-up in probably 30 years. I think she's due. So I'm going to readjust the carburetor, set the timing, cap, rotor, plugs, wires. I noticed the brake booster hose was a little hard. I'm going to change that, the grommet, PCV valve, you know, all vacuum lines, all of it. So let's just go ahead, get right into it, and let's just get this knocked out. This is the main vacuum line, goes off the manifold, goes back to the PCV valve, and I'll show you right here. Right down there, see that hole? That's where the grommet for the PCV valve goes. The original one was pretty hardened and everything. It's supposed to be softer plastic, or I'm sorry, not plastic, but a rubber type of thing. So I got that old one out of there, ordered. There you can see. And we got to carefully get that new one in there, grommet and PCV valve. Run the hoses that go along here into the tri thing. It's like a triple thing, goes one to here, one down there, and it's got this connector right there. I'll clean that up with some cleaner. And I'm also going to change the brake booster hoses over there. I've changed this hose right here, and changed this guy already. And we're pretty much just going to go ahead and change them all, the vacuum advance, all that. So let me go ahead and get all this sorted out here. Got a new air cleaner filter. So, yeah. Alright, so just in case you were wondering which grommet to get, I see the part number for that grommet is part number, I think it's from Ames, it's part number 485, I believe that is. Let me double check here. Yeah, part number 485, and I got this from Ames, and you can see how wore out. The other one actually just broke. That's what happens when they get all hardened and stuff. And then here's the PCV filter. It's a genuine AC Delco one, and that's the part number for that right there. But N210BK, 64 through 77 PCV valve, and then there's a smaller part number there, but you can read that. So that takes care of that. I bought hose, actual real hose for it. And then as far as the grommet goes for the vacuum booster, it was working, but it's got a little cracking around the edges, so I figured I'd just change it, and I'm going to change the hose too, so we get the brakes working better. But this is basically what came in this little kit. It was 14 bucks. And again, this is part number R130AB, 64 to 77. 64 to 77 brake booster check valve with grommet. So we'll go ahead and get this stuff installed along with all these new hoses. You can see here, I got all these vacuum hoses. Genuine, good quality. This is basically like a it got this on Amazon. 3/8 fuel line, but it's the reinforced stuff. And this will be what I use for PCV valve. Here's my old one. It's pretty junk. And then I got genuine rubber hose here that goes for my booster. But it's a 85 psi, so yeah, and it's 1130 seconds. That's the size you need for the 389 in my car's case. So 1130 seconds, and they give you plenty of length there. I think it's like 2 feet of it. It wasn't that much. Okay, so we got our parts and stuff. Let's go ahead and start putting our vacuum lines and everything in. Okay, I got the grommet and PCV valve installed into the manifold. And let me tell you something. These fight you. Here's what I do. When I go ahead to put that in, especially that grommet, when I've always been told anyway, you put the PCV valve in the grommet first. Now, that's terrible advice. What you want to do is you want to put the grommet in first, because if you put that PCV valve in first, what you're doing is you're not allowing it to collapse inward to seat and push down into the intake. If you have that there, it's keeping it from kind of expanding and closing on that center hole. You want that hole to close in to where you can get it in. Put a little Vaseline on the outside and get that sucker down in there. It's gonna fight you. It will. And then put some Vaseline on the ID, the inside hole, and on the PCV valve, and it's gonna fight you as well. What you want to do is you want to get that going, start it as best you can, and then I take a socket with an extension, and I basically, if you see, there's a lip right here at the top. Put this whole thing down on it, and that lip, get the right socket so it doesn't fall down, and with the extension you can push down and do this and sort of get it to pry, slowly working it in. They make those things so damn tight. It's dumb. It really is. It fought me. But it's in. Now I can run my lines. But word to the wise on that, you're probably always going to crack that original grommet, especially if it's old and dried out. So change them out and just pay attention how you're putting them in. They're not fun. Okay, so I got this line right here going to the PCV valve. It goes through this little loop, and it goes to this T here, and these two go both to the intake. Now this, I took it apart and soaked it in some purple power, sprayed it with some brake parts cleaner, dried it out, blew it out with the air hose. So those are all done. So got the vacuum advanced lines hooked up. Next thing I need to do is go over to the power brake booster and sort that part out right there. So let me move over to the other side and do that. Okay, got a new grommet in and the new check valve. Got a clamp on the new hose. Goes down onto the hose here and clamps in place. So that's all nice and tight. Little advice when you put these grommets in for the first time. Put a careful amount of Vaseline on it too, just to get it started. It's not going to hurt anything. You're not putting a ton. So now that we got this all set up and we got all the vacuum hoses pretty much all sorted out, I think that maintenance part is done. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put on some tune-up parts. Got a new set of Federal wire set, brand new. Got a new cap and rotor. Look at red rotor. Race car. Got new screws with that. New plugs. The cap is a cap and rotor, came as a combo wells. So, and if you look also, got the brass contacts in there. That's for me much better quality. And I went with the, what's these? R45S's. What did I say? Yeah, R45S's. It's the kind that has the seated washer on them. So we're going to get them on the car and try to do a little bit of a carburetor adjustment. Get this thing running as best as I can. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do here is I got a genuine Wix filter for air cleaner. And you got to be specific on which one you need for this car. Part number I'm using is 42082. 42082. There's a thickness related, otherwise the air cleaner won't fit in there right, and the diameter, round width, and all that stuff. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it fits the air cleaner right. Okay, so I got all the plugs, all the vacuum lines, everything all set here. Now the carburetor on this particular model, this is a Carter AFB, and you got your main right there, and then you got the two outer mixture screws. And what you want to do is you want to set this middle guy, assuming you tighten it all the way in, which you want to come out as 1.5 up to 2, but I put it at about 1 3/4, and then I adjusted these accordingly. And I also adjusted the choke. It seemed like the butterfly wanted to stay closed longer than I wanted it to. The idle was staying higher than I liked. I didn't like where it was at, so I got that in a better spot there. Then I also adjusted this fella. this high idle right here, it wouldn't kick down low enough. Okay, so I got that better. So the car's been sitting overnight. It's cold right now. The butterfly's closed. I also adjusted the timing. And what I had to do was, whoever had the car, they had it way too advanced. So I threw a timing light on it, and I adjusted that, and it was way advanced. So I backed it off. On Pontiacs, counterclockwise advances it, and to retard it, you go to the right. And it's set where I like it right now. So let me go ahead and do a cold start on it and see how she idles. Also, I should mention that I only run ethanol-free gas in this car. It seems to ping a whole lot less. So I'm running the ethanol-free, and I'm using a lead substitute. Motor Medic is what I'm using in this one, or Mag 1. Either will be sufficient. But I just want to make sure that I'm running the best kind of fuel on this thing. So let's go ahead and do a cold start. That idle kicked down pretty nice. I just started it. It's around 50 degrees out right now. She's purring. You got to get that timing right, buddy. Setting that timing really helps. Butterfly's still kind of closed, and it's idling nice. Yeah. Tell you what, it's got a lot better vacuum changing those lines. Really helps. Not too bad. I think I'm going to leave it right there. Like they say, go ahead and drive them. Work the kinks out. I'll go ahead and just drive it as is, but we got it in the ballpark where we can go ahead and drive it as we have it as is here. And anything else, I guess that'll be a future video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go for a cruise. See you next time.